All right, so my Shazam movie review. I haven't put much, haven't taken the time to organize my thoughts beforehand, and it's probably going to be a bit mixed up, but I'll try and keep it brief. But we already know how these things go. All right, so first things first. I guess we'll get out of the way. Um, well, okay, so I saw it in IMAX, and the theater was not full, but it was full. It was full for the most part. I mean, I didn't see people fill up the front line or whatever, but when the movie started, but maybe as it progressed, more people came in. I don't know, but I had people on either side of me, um, so it was a good mix of people. There was actually a lot more children than um, I guess used to seeing in movie theaters. Even like sounded like young children, like a baby, even, and something similar to Captain Marvel, which actually was not full at all when I saw, but had a decent amount of people. But there was a lot of kids in that movie also. Anyway, so the crowd was loving it. They were laughing on cue. They were laughing at all the parts they're supposed to laugh at throughout and rooting for the hero and all that stuff. Um, Ultimately, the energy I felt throughout and afterward, I think this movie is going to be a hit. And by hit, I mean well liked by the general audience and also make money. But either of those things by themselves aren't really a hit because Batman versus Superman, yes, I'm going to bring it up, made a lot of money. I made $872 million or something like that. But it was very divisive. And people till this day are still have vitriol towards it. Um, Into the Spider-Verse, very well liked and even has the clout of getting some stupid award. I couldn't care less about awards, and I think people shouldn't care less about them either. But anyways, it has that, but it did not make very much money. So it was popular, or actually not popular. It's well liked, but didn't make much money. It wasn't a flop by any means, but it definitely was not a blockbuster. So this, I think, has the potential to be both well liked and a financial success. How did I like it? I liked it. I thought it was enjoyable. I really liked Philadelphia and the uh, Philadelphians, I guess. They were. This was the first. Oh, maybe not the first time, but the citizens and the side characters were a character in of themselves, and I liked it. We haven't had a Philadelphian hero since the Fresh Prince. Actually, I don't know if that's true, but yeah, I liked them, and it was cool that it was cool to see. Um, just feel like we're in that city and get a feel for, I guess, that people and their culture and whatever. Um, this movie had vibes of other movies, but the one that came to mind mainly was at the end, and that was Homecoming, and almost felt like it was imitating Homecoming, and trying to be, yeah, trying to mimic it in some way, almost like some, I don't know, we'll say little brother or sister mimicking their older brother or sister. So yeah, it felt like that. Um, I know I say a lot. I really gotta work on that. Aside from that, all right, I thought it was so okay. Mentioning the Homecoming thing, I think this is a kids movie, and I think it's corny. Not corny to the point where it's not enjoyable for someone like me, or corny to the point where it sinks the movie or makes it bad. But definitely, that was the. I don't know if it's the vibe they're going for, but it was definitely the end result. Um, Now let's get into the quality of the movie because I think that actually does affect the quality of the movie. I've gotten to a point where, in analyzing movies now and stories in general, where I not only realize that my own enjoyment does not determine the quality of the movie, but I also realize that that a lot of well, there's a lot of like storytelling shortcuts that people take that actually I understand because you get a more favorable response from a short attention span, potentially shallow thinking audience. But at the same time, if you really analyze what's going on the screen, it's actually a poorer product. Um, so we'll get right into it. And yes, there's going to be spoilers, and I'm going to start off with the spoilers right now. Now, all right. So Dr. Savannah, the main villain of this movie, comes from we'll say an abusive home, an emotionally abusive home. And that's fine, but the way they depicted it was so on the nose. And throughout the movie, the way they decide to depict things is so on the nose, generic and cliche. It's like, all right, so his father and brother are bullies and, I'll say, antagonistic to him. And it was so corny and quick. Not corny, it's just so typical and quick that it's like they want you to be caught up rapidly. And similar for Billy's origin and his mother. He gets abandoned by his mother. She's a teen mom. And ultimately, we find out that she intentionally left him because she felt he'd be better off without her or whatever. And they just tell these stories in such a simplistic way where they're trying to maximize the emotion that it felt like they wanted it to be as potent as possible, but they didn't want to take the time for it to marinate. And that said, so Dr. Savannah as a child is chosen by the wizard to be the champion, and ultimately he fails because he is seduced by the seven sins and looks like he wants that type of power, so he gets rejected. And that rejection, paired with his abusive home life, feeds into him becoming who he becomes later on. Not only obsessed with finding this power in the seven sins, but also feeling, I'll say, unworthy and therefore wanting to be a force for bad. The family, I'm jumping all over the place. I should have organized my thoughts. All right, the family is also very. It seemed like the makers of this movie thought they had to be corny to make an enjoyable movie or to be faithful to the source material. And I get it, but I don't ultimately agree or appreciate that they feel that they got to be corny. Like, the fat foster kid, surprisingly, was basically just curtains throughout the movie. I don't mean curtains as in dead, like old mob bosses, but I mean like background garnish. He didn't say much, which is part of his character, I guess. But also, he just seemed very. A lot of it seemed like TV movie or a Disney Channel movie. The foster parents were very corny, and the foster dad seemed like a mix between Aquaman and Ned Leeds, Peter Parker's best friend in Homecoming. It's weird. It's a mix between Jason Momoa and that fat Hawaiian kid. It's like, okay, he's like a bumbling bro. It was whatever. The special effects of the humans, like Shazam and Savannah, are very Gumby-like. They're underwhelming. It looked like they were done by somebody who was not skilled at directing super people. So I don't know if that's David Sandberg's shortcoming or the team that he working for him, but I'm guessing it's his, because if the team working for you is producing some product that you're not satisfied with, you can ultimately try and get them to do what you want them to do until it's satisfactory. So what he ended up deciding on and going with looked very fake. So being a kids movie, being cliche and generic, everything moves at a very fast pace. They want you to be caught up and they want to get through as much information as fast as possible. So even though I liked Philadelphia and the movie overall, things felt rushed to a point where it's just unrealistic. Like, and also there's the thing that I hate is when people write off these movies because they're fantasy and it's just a comic book movie. Oh, it's for kids. Oh, so there's no real thought and consequence. Like, all right, when this is something that we've all seen from the trailer. There's a city bus that goes off of an overpass and he catches it, and then he places it on the floor. In real life, those people would be severely injured. Some of them would probably be dead in actuality, and basically they just come out with a couple bumps and bruises, maybe a couple cuts, but he catches it by the windshield nonetheless, which would shatter as soon as it hit him. He'd go through it like a spike going through glass, because he's obviously strong enough not to be crushed, and glass, it doesn't even matter if it's the windshield of a bus, is not. So as soon as it hit him, he would go straight through it and it would ultimately hit the cement, and everybody in the bus would die. He would have to actually catch it by the grill and reduce the momentum of the bus and then place it down. But anyway, so there's things like that that really take away the realism for me. And yeah, it's like, oh, it's fantasy, but yes, even if it's fantasy. If these things happened in the real world, they would still happen in a certain type of way. Anyway, so let me pause this. All right, so that still happened in a certain type of way. The There's plot devices. Like, all right, so Savannah, he ends up finding and harnessing the power of the 7 deadly sins. And one thing that I liked about it, we see him use these creatures immediately, and they don't hold back. Like, you see them kill a bunch of people, like, as soon as they're introduced, which I appreciate, because they are monsters and have no regard for, well, they have a disregard for life. Now, fast forward to when they meet Shazam, and the drama and the tension's supposed to happen. All right, so as soon as they're introduced, they're killing people within the first 30 seconds, maybe a minute. Now, he confronts Shazam, he captures their siblings, and instead of killing them, the monsters hold them as hostages, and it's like, give me a break. Why? Other than them being kids, and the movie, the hero's family, why? There's no rhyme or reason why any of the sins would not kill any of those kids. Savannah masters his abilities, like, easily, without any, he just knows. And it's like, all right, I'm sure not only this being like his lifelong pursuit, and him being a very serious person, I'm sure he could actually have a better, or more skillfully use his powers than Shazam, who's using them as a toy. But ultimately, it's like, he is like a character with zero depth and zero development. They try and force it with the whole backstory of him coming from an abused family, or an abusive family, and being rejected. The 7 sins tell him to seek them out, and he does, and they give him power, and he has it. And all of a sudden, he's a master of it. And he wants the Shazam's power, and I don't know what he's going to do. Maybe destroy the world or plunge it into darkness, who knows. But he ultimately is just a paint-by-numbers villain, doing all the things that you would expect of just a villain. The acting in this was okay, I guess. Now, people always say that child actors are hit and miss, and I guess that's kind of true, but like, a lot of the acting that was bad or questionable came from the older actors, like the older child actors, like the bullies of the school. One of them, the leather jacket bully, was so corny, it looked like he was trying not to smile throughout the whole movie. All right, so Shazam, one of his big intros is he destroys the bully's vehicle in, like, cliche fashion. And, all right, something that's never happened to anybody in life. Your vehicle falls out of the sky and smashes, and the kid is like, oh. It's like, give me a break. You would not be like, have a stupid, goofy look on your face if out of nowhere your freaking vehicle fell from the sky and was crushed. You would be scared, yeah. And so let me think. My thoughts so unorganized. My bad. Let me pause that shit. Oh, actually, no, I can edit this out. All right. So aside from that, they have their little dramatic moment where Freddy is like in a conflict with Billy or Shazam or whatever, and he calls him like a bully. And which, if I was Billy, I was like, freaking, who am I a bully to? Because I'm not a bully to you. He didn't bully him, but anyways, they have their little tension moment, and then that leads to another part of the movie. And let me actually.